Hey, this is AJ with Blackhawk Bushcraft. First things first, this video unfortunately is not being filmed on location in some frozen wasteland. You don't want to know why? Because some other YouTubers that have bushcraft channels decided to take over my camp so that they could do a video on how to survive in 20 below, wearing nothing but their skivvies, surviving on pine needles, sheer willpower, and sitting next to nothing but a small teepee fire. So I had no other alternative but to do this video from the comforts of my own home. Today I wanted to give you a follow-up video of the BPS Aurora now that I've had a chance to use it and give you my honest review of what I think. I've now had some hands-on time with this little knife, and I think the best way to really evaluate a knife is by actually getting out and using it. The pot hook actually worked. A nose roller. Ow, 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 ow. What I like about evaluating a knife doing something like carving a tristick is that it actually forces you to use the knife by doing push cuts, pull cuts, using the tip, seeing how the knife feels in hand over a prolonged period of time, and a tristick will actually expose if the knife gives you any type of trouble, such as hot spots in the hand, poor geometry, or anything else that doesn't show up when you're just looking at a knife doing a first impressions video. So now let me jump over to some B-roll and let the knife do the talking. So let's start with the positives because I feel that there are some very real strengths here with this BPS Aurora. First and foremost, the edge geometry and blade profile on the Aurora are exceptional for carving. This is a 3mm thick blade with a high Scandi grind, and it cuts through wood like it owes it money. The edge bites aggressively, tracks cleanly, and the continuous sweep from the plunge line all the way to the tip make this knife an absolute carving champion. The tip is fine, precise, and very easy to control, which is exactly what you want when doing detailed work like this. The type of detailed work that's required when knocking out a variety of notches on a tri-stick, even though I'm sure I forgot probably a good 6 notches. The blade steel with the BPS Aurora is VG10 stainless, and on this piece of willow, it performed very well. Now, it is important to keep expectations realistic. Willow is a soft wood. It does not offer the same resistance as something like oak or maple. A harder wood would definitely put more stress on such a fine edge. That said, for light carving done with proper technique and a little care, I don't see this edge rolling or failing under normal use. Just don't abuse it. This is not a pry bar. The BPS Aurora is not meant to be driven in sideways through knots like you're mad at it. Treat it like a carving knife and it behaves like one. Now this is where the Aurora starts to fall short, at least for me. While the blade is outstanding, the handle is simply too thin. I didn't find it unsafe and I never felt like I was losing control or that the knife was trying to twist out of my hand, but it doesn't feel natural. Because the handle is so thin, I found myself over gripping to maintain comfort and control, and over time, that leads to hand fatigue. After finishing the tri-stick, I could feel that tension not just in my hand, but creeping into my wrist as well. That is a big deal if carving is something you do for extended periods. And this is where handle design really matters. So if you take the BPS Aurora and compare it to some other options that are similar in price range, such as the following: the Puukko 95, which similarly has a high Scandi grind, but a very comfortable, full, oval-shaped handle in very velvety, comfortable birch bark. I think I got this knife from Lamnia for right around $70. Another option, and I know my friends are going to hate me for this. Oh, I can't even bear to think of the comments I'm going to get over this. Yes, yes. The Condor Trivettata Puukko. Also around the same price as the BPS Aurora. And as you can see, very similar in design and edge geometry. Except this is where the Condor Trivettata Puukko beats the Aurora BPS. Check out the handle differences. Very thin, very full. The Condor Trivettata Puukko feels the hand, and the grip for me feels natural. So if you're considering the BPS Aurora, you might want to look at other options that fall within the same price range. Now, where does the BPS Aurora beat the other two knives that I just showed you? Well, you get the BPS Aurora in VG10 stainless, which is a very corrosion resistant steel. Unlike the other two knives, the Trivettata Puukko is in 1095 high carbon, and the Erapu Puukko 95 is also a high carbon steel blade. Without proper maintenance, those two blades will rust if not properly maintained. The G10 handle scales also on the BPS Aurora are very comfortable, very durable, but that doesn't actually make it better than the other two knives. The birch bark may require a little bit more care. The micarta is not going to give you any problems on the Trivettata Puukko. But again, the two handles on the other knives are far more comfortable, in my opinion, for knocking out a variety of tasks under prolonged periods of use. So who is the BPS Aurora really for, in my opinion? I think this little knife is best suited for people with smaller hands or users who would look at this more in a utility role than a primary carver. More of a utility knife, companion knife, to a knife that's going to be getting most of the hard use. In that role, this little knife makes a lot of sense because you could use it to clean a fish. You could use it to knock out some very light carving tasks. You could use it for slicing food, for cutting cordage, all sorts of different things that a utility knife would be best suited for. That said, for me, I really wouldn't gravitate to the BPS Aurora in even a utility knife role. Because for me, based on my experience and also my preferences, I would prefer something like a folding blade, such as the Cold Steel Recon 1. This little knife goes everywhere with me, out in the field, everyday carry. I find a folding knife like the Recon 1 best suited for me when I just need a knife for utility purposes. And for those that are considering the BPS Aurora as a primary knife for bushcraft related things, I probably would discourage that. There are much better knives out there that would be better suited, in my opinion, for a primary woodsman / bushcraft knife. Even though the Aurora's blade is plenty sufficient for bushcraft, the handle is where this little knife falls short. For me personally, I would not purpose this as a primary bushcraft knife. Now, you may be very different. You may find that this is an exceptional primary bushcraft knife. For me, I just wanted to give you an honest review. Based on my medium to large sized hands, this little knife just does not work for me as a primary bushcraft knife. Again, the handle really holds this knife back from truly being exceptional in that type of a role. All that said, is this a good knife? Yes, it is a good knife. In fact, I would go as far to say that this is a great knife if you were to purpose it more as a companion knife to some other type of a knife that you would use for primarily bushcraft or camping related tasks. This little BPS Aurora offers exceptional value, outstanding blade geometry, it's an exceptional carver, and it really does pack a punch well above its price point. It's just not one that I would personally carry because my preferences would take me more to a knife that fills the hand that would reduce the amount of fatigue over prolonged use. Again, as a small companion knife, absolutely. As a primary bushcraft knife, not for me. If you found this review helpful, please hit the like button, please subscribe. I really, truly do appreciate it. It helps out a lot. And if you are a user of the BPS Aurora or have any experience with this little knife, I'd be very interested for you to actually drop your comments and share your experience. Is this something that you've primarily purposed for a primary bushcraft knife, or do you find it better suited in more of a utility companion knife role? As always, thank you so much for watching. This is AJ with Blackhawk Bushcraft, and until the next video, have a great day.